Right. Now that is catching like fire in China and riding on the backs of the pandemic. So this was just in the news a few months back, um, that some young people and old, I think, are basically saying, lying down is pretty good. Just like why do we need to go to work, or why do we need to do all those things any longer? Lying down is good. In China, there is a resurgent movement of people who claim that lying down is the answer to everything. Did you guys hear this story?
Actually, Stephen
Millennials
Dickinson sort of, yeah, it was his
said
answer.
something about it.
Well, that
I
was his. Remember, he said that line.
oh, I'd love to hear your take on it. I can't fully remember the story.
It was something to the effect of exactly that, which is, what is the one a piece of advice that he would give? It was Leonard Cohen. He'd be almost like, just get out of the way or something like that.
Right, right. Now that is catching like fire in China and riding on the backs of the pandemic. So this was just in the news a few months back, um, that some young people and old, I think, are basically saying, lying down is pretty good. Just like why do we need to go to work, or why do we need to do all those things any longer? Lying down is good. To the deep embarrassment of the guardians of the Chinese labor market, and capitalism as a whole, they're just shocked by it. Meanwhile, in the United States, I read that people don't want to go back to work, right? And this isn't just, like I said, anecdotal. This is what this guy who calls himself Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank was on Bill Maher's. Yeah, I'm going to be dropping pop culture references like hot potato here. uh, like this is what he was saying on Bill Maher's show some time ago, that almost a third of his workforce in his empire do not want to go return. It's like the office is now a question to be asked. It's now up for grabs. It was invisible before. Of course, when you work, you need to have an office space. Now there's suddenly options. The menu is now larger than just the one thing, right? Here in India, during the pandemic, parents, like I wrote in that piece, parents suddenly woke up and saw monsters in their houses, namely their own children. And they're like, what do we do with these noisy things? We don't know what to do with these things. What do we do with these things? Um, Two journalists approached my wife from the national dailies. We've been unschooling our kids. They've never gone to school. And they were like, so how do you enhance your productivity in lockdown? And my wife was like, I'm trying to reduce their productivity. like like I'm tired of their productivity. I'm trying to reduce it. So I'm just noticing, and this is a beautiful noticing, that new questions, new inquiries are possible when a miracle happens, when something bursts through the surface, when new interference patterns are suddenly streaming through most of us, not just humans, but also more than humans. And that becomes a practice, that becomes opportunity for practice, not to come around a consensus, to create a consensus about what the virus is, but to study the cracks, as I would like to frame it, to study the cracks, to touch the somatic variability of the cracks, that the things that are opening up. This might be another metaphor that might help. The Hiroshima bomb blast of 1945 in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, August 6th and 9th, is said to have released carbon 14 into the atmosphere. I've spoken about this many times, and most of us know this. Carbon 14 for generations infiltrated the ocean, our food, animal bodies, our bodies, so that up till the time it was measured a couple decades back, it was still being detected in babies. That is, babies were born with traces of Hiroshima, right? So that the 1945 never really ended. In our ways of categorizing time, it was a period that was past. But this is the notion of time that is slushy and ongoing. 1945 was still echoing in our bodies and is still yet to come, in a sense. I don't know if those levels have gone down, right? I think that is an opportunity for research. not in the university sense, but of asking new questions, gathering round these disturbances as disabilities, and then seeing what they want to do with us.